Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, building on previous knowledge in terms of the function that we created in a previous video regarding the unattended installation, we're going to look at what happens when you add the command switch. Now, the command switch allows you to have an additional command run post-installation. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to use the PowerShell command to download and install Chocolatey as our post-installation. Now, apart from the fact that Chocolatey is a really useful tool for this, the main reason is to demonstrate that this post-installation can be done. Now, you could use just Chocolatey, but realistically what we're aiming for is kind of an infrastructure as code type scenario here. So you would have in an IIS server or an Apache or any web server really, the script that you want to run post-installation, and then it just access it via the HTTP request. Now, what this allows you to do is potentially build up an infrastructure very quickly and easily using any scripts with any number of commands that can be run synchronously. Now, in PowerShell's case, let's say that you want to install a couple of Windows modules and then consequently do a reboot afterwards. You would say, okay, I might need to run that as a workflow so that you can continue post-reboot. And we've discussed workflows in previous videos, so you might want to go over and check out workflows on that one. Equally, if you were doing this with a Linux-based machine, same principle, but instead of using the set of commands and using maybe PowerShell as your example, you use bash script. So just for reference purposes, apart from the many packages that can be done with Windows, let's look at a Linux one. So here on Linux we can use the bash script and do a get command and then to wherever our script is located. So here I've got a local one just with some echo commands to prove that it ran. Now let's say that you have something that requires sudo or root access to run. Then that might be the case if you've got an installation of a package that requires some elevated privileges and not just a couple of simple variable changes. Or alternatively, let's say the directory that you need to go into to change the config file is protected and you haven't modified the security. The answer to this is you can again just run the bash script, but in this case in a root instance. Now all of this is intended to spark your imagination on how you might go about doing something like this in your infrastructure. But keep in mind, whatever you do, always try to make sure that these scripts are locked down in some way, or at the very least signed so that you know whether or not they're yours. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, you know what to do, and as always, subscribe for more content.